And I think we should be. Yes, we are live. What's up, guys? Welcome to another TikToker talk. Today we are joined with a couple of the most awesome people on TikTok: Jay Vakai,
Not even.
Tori Noodles, and
Thank
we also
you.
have Chris Wells, but he's having a couple of technical difficulties, and he will be back with us. I swear he was here at one point, but anyway, before we get started talking about everything, I don't know. I'm sure a few of you guys have seen going around the case of Brandon Bernard, who's on death row. If you guys need any of the info, I'll have it linked down in the description. I don't have it yet because I forgot to put it in the description, but as soon as the video's over with, I'm going to put all the information down there. Basically, he's a guy that's on death row, but even the prosecutor who here, I'll highlight the screen real quick so you guys can see it a little better. Basically, Brandon was involved with somebody that got murdered, but it was more of a wrong place, wrong time kind of deal. And 5 of the jurors who sentenced him to death now say he shouldn't be put to death. And then the prosecutor in the case, who originally got him convicted, also says he shouldn't be put to death. So if you want more information about this, it'll be linked down in the description, or you can go to helpsavebrandon.com. That's this website. And learn more about it, or just tweet at Donald Trump and tell him, hey, maybe do something good on the way out for once.
Oh man.
But that probably won't happen though. But so anyway,
Do you think that there's a possibility that he actually will be saved, or like what's
I don't know. I just learned. I heard about the case a couple months ago. Like I said, Pragmatic Ideals brought it to my attention.
Mhm.
And I did a video about it, and I kind of, it got lost in the shuffle of the chaos that comes at us every day. So I'm not too familiar with everything that's going on in the case. I know the very basics. So I don't know how likely he is to get off or anything like that. Or
How soon is he scheduled to be?
it's pretty soon.
Yeah.
It's scheduled for the 10th. So,
Oh my God.
Yeah, we're talking 4 or 5. Yeah, 4 days? 4 days. Not even like it's almost the 7th already. So,
And
but
yeah, that's just the death penalty in general. I'm sure we've all seen it. That Just Mercy movie, really radicalized me on the issue when it came out to be vehemently against it. So
Fun fact, I met the author of, because Just Mercy was originally a book, and I had to read that for my freshman year of college.
Mhm.
And I got to meet the author of it. And it was like very paradigm shifting for me because, I was a kid just coming out of high school, and I saw just like how people very close to my age were, victims of the prison industrial complex for, again, being at the wrong place at the wrong time. That and the documentary on Netflix, 13th, is also paradigm shifting because it really connects how capitalism's relationship to the prison industrial complex.
13th is amazing. Driven, I take it you've seen it, or
what's that? I didn't. I was looking at the thing.
no? It's fine. Yeah, still waiting on Chris to get back.
Yes.
No. 13th was amazing. I would say, obviously, by the time that came out, I was already pretty radicalized, but it gave me more stats and more talking points
Yeah.
to use, and that's why I think it's so important to keep reading, keep watching documentaries, keep all that stuff, because it arms you with knowledge of talking points and things that you already believed in. You just didn't know how to phrase it.
Right, and I think just the death penalty is such a bad road to go down, because I think it's 5% of death row inmates are eventually exonerated, and that's just the ones we know about. So to have just a final solution of death, you did this, so you get sentenced to death. It's just, and it's more expensive than having somebody in jail for their whole life. Which personally I think might actually be a worse punishment. I mean, if you had to rot in jail for the next 50 years. I think that would be a little worse than, and I'm not sure if they're trying to get him out or just get him off of death row. I don't know exactly what is going on with that, but yeah. But so anyway, as far as news going on, did you guys see that Rudy Giuliani got diagnosed with COVID?
Got the bid.
I think he got something more than COVID. Conspiracy theory.
I actually feel bad for COVID, like having to be inside Rudy Giuliani.
Oh, it's be so hard for COVID.
Oh my God. Rudy Giuliani. I hate to say this, and but I don't know how to describe this sentiment, but when people that have consistently denied the seriousness of COVID-19 and mask wearing and all this stuff, I'm not saying I'm happy when they get it, but it is a form of
it's karma. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna be like, karma's my sister, and I see her, I recognize her. Wouldn't say stand in solidarity with her, but she's still my sister.
Right. I don't know. I don't know how to phrase it, but I can honestly there's a lot of people that I know here in Michigan that were very conservative, and they all got it pretty much. And then a lot of my friends that my circle is we've been clean this whole time, because we wear masks around each other and we distance and stuff. So, I mean, there's a significant difference. There just is. And I don't know how long it's going to take before we're how many times do we got to tell you this?
Well, I gotta send Chris the link again. Go ahead, guys. Go ahead.
Okie dokie. Well, I forgot what I was gonna say.
Sorry.
Oh no, you're absolutely fine. I'm thinking real hard, right? So maybe I can forget it. My brain decided to switch languages for that moment, so I'm trying really hard to keep on speaking English right now.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, we're talking about COVID. And, the thing that sucks about also these kind of more conservative people getting COVID is that they get it and then they go, well, it wasn't that bad, if they didn't experience any harsh symptoms. So, everyone else should, be as crazy and unregulated as I am,
So I want to share with you guys real quick something that's really is scaring me about COVID. Is one, day before yesterday, I saw a poll that said that about 50% of people say they're not going to take the vaccine. But whatever. That's just one poll. Not that big of a deal. But then what scared me even more is my younger sister. She's a nurse, and she works here at a nursing home, and she said when they told her 3 or 4 days ago that they were going to get the vaccine in 2 to 3 weeks, about half of the staff said they weren't going to take it. Half of the nurses and CNAs, half of the medical staff at the nursing home said they weren't going to take the vaccine.
Did they give a reason why, though?
Trump 2020, God bless America. I don't know. Guns and ammo, something like that.
I actually made a TikTok on this recently about why the evangelical right is against it. Because I was raised with that, so right. I know what those talking points are. I don't understand if you're not evangelical right. I don't know what your issue is. You get what I'm saying? If you're against it for religious reasons, I don't agree with you, but I'm just saying, okay, that makes sense. But if you're not religious, I don't get it. Oh, it's
yeah. The government's out to get you, and you need to go ahead and protect yourself from the government. Is I don't know, this weird again, we've gotten into it before, this weird suspicion that the government's authoritarian, they're slipping into authoritarianism, but they're doing it to go ahead and infect you, well, not infect you, but inject you with microbiological electronic, I don't even know the word, weapons or microparticles or something like that. I was talking to a friend the other day, and he said, I've had one of my longtime friends tell me that he genuinely believes that they are going to the vaccine is like a bomb, like a ticking time bomb for people, where they're just going to inject it and then they're going to be like, okay, it's time to kill everyone now. Like, they have this weird, like fetish, I guess, for the possibility of genocide. I don't understand it. I don't. Like, why do they always think this?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, man.
You were
I'm trying to help Chris get back in the room.
Yeah, I want Chris back too. But so I can speak for like the evangelical side of it, because I was raised that way too, and when I was very young, I bought into it as well. Is like this idea that you're taught that one day they're going to get you, and they're obsessed with that, and they are obsessed with the idea of the government is coming for the Christians, and they kind of want to live up to this martyrdom type feel. And I'm not even like, I still have faith, but I am not that brand, right? And the reason why is because I know that like where it's rooted in fear, and it's rooted in nationalism of like America will be the last bastion that will protect Christians. That's why they vote Republican. Like, you know, and because Republicans know how to play right into it. And I feel like that's the juice, man. We got to figure out a way to tear down those walls and be like, dude, Republicans aren't on your side.
Well, they're able to live in this echo chamber of these conspiracies, because if faced with the reality of their positions, like, they crumble. So they have to create this, you know, this fake world of all these fake answers and results. And there's actually a story I want to talk about in a second about this beauty influencer who's kind of helped perpetuate that. But yeah, it's all based on, you know, lies, and then to cover up those lies, you have to have conspiracies, and then you got to have conspiracies on top of conspiracies. I mean, just, you know, with the vaccine thing, you know, I've had so many debates with anti-vax people, especially after, like, you know, a lot of my QAnon videos, because it kind of goes hand in hand, and they'll bring up like this one study that was done on dogs in Japan in 1995 that's been debunked several times, 17 different ways. And even if you show them 5 different studies that have, you know, proven basically as much as you can scientifically prove it, that autism is not linked to vaccines, they still come with this, and they're like, well, you see, this is all the proof, you know, even, and it's just like their mind shuts off from there. A certain segment of people, you know what I mean? Not everyone. Some are reachable, but a lot aren't, you know?
Yeah. So apparently I got one follower is telling me there's someone in Wyoming, some health official is saying that the vaccine is part of a communist plot.
Yeah. No, that's where we're at. I don't know if you guys saw my video today. You know, we have a guy who's about to be working in the Pentagon, who is talking about George Soros and Hillary Clinton stealing the election. And, you know, he's talking about anybody that testified in the impeachment hearing should be like drawn and quartered and, you know, put in jail. Like, he's totally full on radical far right QAnon guy. And that's the government now.
I hate it here so much. Like, because it just,
you guys are faces. Hey,
Chris Wells, you're supposed to be in here, not in the chat.
Trying to. I'm gonna send him the link. Yeah. Tried it like 30 times. Okay, let me send you the link again.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's literally just a click. It's not hard. So. And like, he has the biggest fan base out of all of us. We need Chris. Chris has got like 150.
Yeah. Come on, Chris.
That guy, Matty Politics, when him and Dude debated, he had this issue too. But eventually, it just worked. I don't know why.
Which one was Matt Politics? I don't think I watched that debate.
That was the Kyle Rittenhouse debate.
Oof.
Oh, I missed that one.
I saw like little bits and pieces of that. That one was interesting.
It was a shit show.
Driven.
I like how I said interesting. You're like, I know what you really mean, Tori.
It was a shit.
Driven, like we did that one debate. You asked me to help out on the chat, and it was really fun with him and Uncle Dan. Tommy
Yeah,
and
that
Uncle
one was
Dan.
pretty good.
That was a good debate. And then like I went to the kitchen and you texted and you were like, hey, so they're going again with this other guy named Carl Metcher or whatever.
Yeah.
That one was wild. I was sitting there like, even I don't know what's happening anymore.
At that point, like again, like it's just political theater at that point. Like we were talking about this the other day, Driven, about like the lack of productive political conversation. Because like that's the thing with this whole kind of like debate culture that I've talked about before, where it's like, well, it's just, you know, two yelling at each other. Like we're watching a boxing match. We're watching sexual posturing. Who's learning from this? We're just being like, oh, I want my guy to win so badly. And then it's like, you know, like I don't want to sound like super like, you know, neo-libbed up or like establishment Democrat, but like, where is the civility? Like, where is the actual conversation?
Well, that's why conversations you might actually get something out of. Debates like that, nothing comes from it except for a little bit of political theater. You're like, you know, it's like watching a car wreck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just, you know, you look at it, but you're not really getting anything out of it. You know what I mean?
Well, that's why I actually appreciate your guys' content so much on TikTok, is because you guys are like, you'll put out a lot of information, but you don't really go toe to toe with a lot of people. And
yeah, it's not my
not that you guys aren't afraid to. It's just that I know that you guys are like, there's no point. Like, and thanks to people like you, I've kind of drawn out of that arena. Like, I'd rather just tell a story that people can relate to and like put out some information.
The only thing I ever like push back on all the time is when people on the right share that stupid video of like all the newscasters saying the same thing. And they're like, don't trust the media. When it's like, hey man, do you know that's right-wing propaganda that you're putting out? That is right-wing Sinclair media. Like I hate that you use that video. Mm-hmm. It drives me nuts.
To circle back to that right winger going into the Pentagon, like the right is always like, we're the outsiders. We're not the ones that are like, you know, we're the ones being forgotten. But like there are QAnoners in office right now in high government positions.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all over the place.
So like versus like we see progressives, anyone just like a little bit left of Pelosi just get absolutely like pummeled and sabotaged during their elections.
That's because they're better at messaging than we are. Here's some of the things that guy Scott O'Grady is his name. On November 19th, O'Grady tweeted that that Hillary Clinton and George Soros were involved in foreign interference in the presidential election. On November 23rd, he retweeted a user who falsely claimed they stopped counting votes when @RealDonaldTrump Trump was winning in a landslide fashion. On November 25th, he retweeted the baseless accusations that Brian Kemp and the Secretary of State were covering up Georgia's election results to help Joe Biden win. Like, this is just daily, you know. Yeah. This is just daily shit that he's tweeting out every single day. And now he works in the Pentagon.
Yeah, it's an attack on democracy, and it's an attack on, and that's why, you know, I mean, thanks to the big boost from Tommy, but like one of the things that I have like 3 goals on my TikTok account, and one of them is, it's like, we on the left really need to figure out, like, dude, guys, there's crazy people in office. Like they're insane. Like we need to like figure out a way to like unite against them while still keeping our. Tori, help me out here. Like
tag.
So I mean, there's also like there's 2 conversations to be had during this, and I can see why you're like being like, how do I exactly navigate this? Because we also have to realize that there is power in the people. And this is why I think we need to be paying attention to India and India's protests and see how successful they can be with it. Because you don't push a neoliberal like Joe Biden or like some of these other ones that are in Congress in the House by just voting. You know, voting is good. I mean, like, if we're talking about being like, as radical as I am, voting can be seen as like a bit counter-revolutionary. It's not a revolutionary action. But like in this sense, like voting's fine, like go ahead and do it. But the people need to hold politicians accountable by actually centralizing and organizing and mobilizing. And the only way that we do that is by getting our message out there in a digestible manner.
Right. Also, like mainstreaming some things. Like, I was talking with, I'm not sure if you guys know who they are. They're on TikTok too, though. They're pretty big too. Suited Wealth, and they're leftists as well. And they were basically saying like we need to learn. Yeah, they actually go to this university with me. So like,
awesome.
Yeah. But we were talking about it, and they were saying like, we have to, like, kind of like what Tori's talking about. We have to start learning how to palletize things to like because the working class conservative a lot of times wants the same things we do. They don't know it yet, though. They're not radicalized yet because they don't understand what progressives are or what leftists are. So it's like if you speak to them as the working class, we have to start doing that. As far as like the corporate Republicans, no, dude, no.
Well, that's their goal right now, and I find it so funny that they're tearing each other apart right now in the Republican Party, but the call everything socialism angle, it's still like their go-to. Like I watched a little bit of it's over now, but the Raphael Warnock versus Kelly Loeffler debate. And that was basically her rebuttal for everything is like, you're a socialist, Marxist, evil person who wants to defund the police. Like it was basically every answer. Why do you think Donald Trump isn't leaving office? Raphael Warnock is a socialist, Marxist, evil person who wants to defund the police. She wouldn't even admit that Biden won.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's
rebutted that with socialism.
But I think that's why we need to focus less on being like, oh no, we're like really palatable. We're actually like, we need to focus less on declawing ourselves and being like, yeah, we have Marxist influence. Yeah, we have socialist influence.
Oh yeah. Sure.
Instead of playing into the same Red Scare propaganda that America uses to keep their populace ignorant, we need to liberate the people through educating them. These things aren't bad. You were lied to. You don't know the actual definition of socialism. You don't know the actual definition of Marxism. You don't know all of these buzzwords that Republicans use to suppress you and your knowledge. So that's why I'm not shy about my radical roots, because I know what I'm talking about. And yes. I know that these things aren't bad. I know that the fall of the USSR is what influenced the idea of publicized healthcare. So like, we need to be honest with where we're coming from. So that way, when they use that talking point, people are less like, oh no, that's a very big, scary monster word, and being like, no, I know what that is now. And, is there a reason to be demonizing it that much?
Oh, I agree with you.
It just needs to be normalized is the thing. Like you said.
I'll give you an anecdotal evidence where like I agree with you, but what I mean is like so today I was having a conversation with a friend, and we were jokingly talking about it. He's like, when are you gonna put merch out on TikTok? I was like, dude, I'm small still. I was like, dude, that's not happening. And he was like, yeah, well, as long as you don't have a sickle and hammer on any of your merch, I'll buy it, which opened up a dialogue, right? And I was like, okay, so like, why would that deter you? And he goes, dude, that's as bad as the swastika. And I was like, all right, let's have that conversation, right? So it was actually a very long conversation where I like showed him definitions. I was like, the sickle and hammer is the unification of the proletariat, peasant, and working class. That's what it means. And it's that symbol. It's like, also, it's very stupid to say that they are the same thing when they both killed each other in the millions. So I was like, they're the antithesis of each other.
Mm-hmm. But and also for like everyone in the chat that may not also know this, the hammer and sickle can be found as like symbols of hope all across the world. You see this a lot in South India, Kerala, India, which is a very like progressive part of India. You see this all over Latin America. You see this in Africa. You see this in places where people are trying to liberate themselves from neo-imperial rule. So it's not like when people say it's the same as the swastika. No, the swastika is a symbol of oppression. The hammer and sickle is a symbol of hope and liberation.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like our conversation wrapped up with me saying this is why it's important for us to talk about this, because I was like, for example, you didn't know that. You saw it from the McCarthyism. You saw it from that angle, and you're like, oh, they're both bad. But I was like, but when we talk about it, you learn that like, oh, it's not. And I was like, and he was still like cautious about it, but I'm like, dude, a little bit of time, a little bit of education, and you'll find out it's not the same thing. But I'm using that in the same vein. Excuse me, my cat, don't attack the mirror. Thank you. But in the same type of vein, like I'm just using that as anecdotal evidence to talk about. Hold on, the cat is gonna break the freaking mirror. Stop it! All right, got him.
Chunk led that cat.
Yeah, I did.
That cat must be a Republican. He doesn't want to.
He's a Marxist.
We
talked about it at length. Yeah, he is graduated from Moscow and went to Oxford and came back to America to spread his Marxism. Anyway, but yeah, I'm just using that as anecdotal evidence to supply the idea of like a lot of things are just terms that have to be broken down, like universal health care, education, military-industrial complex, things like that. You know.
So what
happened to Chris? That's my question.
I'm trying to get him in. That's what I'm doing. He's having issues. I don't know what it is exactly.
Like what happens when he clicks on it?
He just says it's invalid. So I'm gonna try. Don't let He's entertaining in this message exchange anyway, though. I'll give him that.
Always a pleasure.
I learned that talking to him on TikTok Messenger. I was like, this guy's a goofball, and I love it. Like, he was sending me, like, so we had a conversation, like, hey, we're going to be in the same show. And then he goes, like, the next day, he's sending me Harry Potter TikToks. And he's like, I don't know if you've seen Harry Potter, but I'm a Hufflepuff. And I'm like, what are we doing?
That's the perfect date.
It was hilarious.
This is not dating advice. Anything that doesn't involve Rudy Giuliani. Perfect date.
I was gonna quote that one
the link again, Chris, by the way.
From what was it? Like Miss America or something. It's like, oh, like March 30th, because it's not too hot and it's not too cold. You just need a light sweater. April 25th. There we go. April. Yes, exactly.
So
I don't know what
this... that. I have a follower here who asked, like, what can independents do to help influence? What do you guys think? Because I'm like torn on that, because independent's like a trigger word for me, because I'm like, are you a libertarian, right? Because if you are, you're not really going to help.
What do they mean by independence? Like what?
I mean, I don't know. It's just a question on TikTok Live.
Well, I my personal, like, when someone says independent, that usually means like they're like, oh, both parties are bad, so we need to make a new party. And I just think that's never going to work. I feel like we're stuck with the two-party system, because at least in our lifetimes. So the best thing we can do is reform the Democratic Party. And it's going to take work, and it's have to be done slowly through financing, the public financing of candidates, like especially at the local level. Like, it's one thing at the, like if you're running for, governor of a state, that's one thing. But it's like at the real local, like, state level, state senators, state congressmen, that really makes a difference, because individual states are where laws are passed, for the most part. And we need more people at that level that aren't run by PACs and, aren't, getting handouts from every single lobbyist in DC. And that's where we need to see real change. What Republicans did so well after Obama got in office was they went from, they started small and they worked their way all the way up, and they took 1,000 seats from Democrats during Obama's time. We need to do something similar to that, and we need to do it at every level. Like the AOC path is the way to go, because she was able to grassroots campaign and then able to get in office based on her actual ideas, not just, oh, well, she's a Democrat, so we got to vote for Democrats. And that's able to give a loudspeaker to those ideas, and it gets, people engaged more because they see, well, that's actually worth my time. And then more people like that get in office. And I think we need to focus on that as opposed to, well, both parties are bad. Let's form a new party. Like, it's just the infrastructure
Well, I
of
get a little.
creating a whole nother party is just a nightmare.
Well, I get a little bit like I get very cautious around somebody who, like, I'll be honest for myself. I'm not speaking for every leftist out there or anything, but when someone tells me they're independent, I get very like, what do you mean? Like, that's always like kind of my go-to, because I'm like, I don't know what you mean by that. Are you independent like Bernie Sanders, or are you independent like libertarian right? Because libertarian right, I feel like, and I've said before, I don't mind saying it, guys like on TikTok, guys like Ben Politics, and these guys are just, or like Kai Clips, they're just so hard to nail down because they consistently kind of squirm their way out of it. And like, that's why I try not to debate them, platform them, talk to them, because that they gain this following. I don't know, they're really hard to put a nail on though, because they kind of just wiggle out of everything. And like, I'm a libertarian, I don't support that, but it's like, but you do. So
Well, that's why it's important to not be too much of a reactionary. There are times where you do need to respond to things and kind of use them as a jumping off point to start a different conversation. But the thing about people like Benjamin Politics and Kai Clips, who there's one that I'm not going to say who, but there's one of them that I think is a full-blown fascist, and there's another one that I think definitely toys with fascism. Like, we can't continue to let them think that their ideas are viable, that they're worth platforming. It's just not really worth it. I was gonna make a different point, but I keep on wanting to switch to Tagalog right now, and I'm trying really hard not to.
yeah. Sometimes I do that with Spanish, I'll be honest.
Yeah, it's so bad.
Yeah, Michigan's
Do it with English to bad English.
No, but I mean, like, I just feel like when we're talking about, and what can independence do, if that's the question, I feel like, one, you need to establish what you are. Like, I feel like we have to know what you are, because if you're gonna like trick us into accidentally, because I feel like a lot of teens get tricked into the libertarian right because they feel like, oh, but they're for drugs and they're for gay marriage. It's like, sort of. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of connotations to that you don't quite understand yet because you're 15. And it kind of tricks people into being libertarian. When I was 15, I thought I was libertarian.
I think the best thing you can do is, if you think you're like down the middle independent, just go down every issue and then kind of research what that makes you. Because a lot of people that are, in the middle, or, say, oh, I lean this way or that way. Usually when you go issue for issue with everybody, they're a lot more progressive than they originally thought they were. Like, if you go down, well, how do you feel about, Medicare for all? How do you feel about, tuition-free public college? How do you feel about this, that? Like, a lot of people end up being a lot more progressive. But the thing that the right has done great is they've been able to label being progressive with being weak, not having a job, living in your mom's basement, stuff like that. You hate America, stuff like that.
Well, they say it on TikTok all the time. They're constantly trying to paint the left as weak and like eating Cheetos on the couch and stuff like that. They're always trying to do that.
I mean, Steven Crowder and people like Steven Crowder, Tim Pool, Candace Owens have made a living off just, the left, they wear dresses on their men and they hate America because they want to make it better. Well, they hate it so much they want everybody to have health care.
And as a man, I can say that they attack healthy masculinity with toxic masculinity, and they do that consistently. Where and it's like one of the examples I like to use in a mutual of mine. I love the dude, the Proletariat on.
Yeah, I like that guy. Yeah.
Well, yeah, both of us are kind of in that same vein of like, dude, I train, I do all this stuff. Like, I'm all about like pushing myself physically and being hard on myself, but at the same time, I don't use it to hurt people. Like I use it to defend. Like that's the whole point. And
Is
I
that
feel
Chris?
like
Hey.
he back.
Yay!
Welcome to the show, Chris.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but now
Hey, look, I
I'm having
found a
audio
wild
issues
Chris
again.
You sound good.
Yeah.
You sound clear.
You sound
I
good.
hear you.
You're super bright, but
Oh my god.
it's
You're
all right.
glowing.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing wrong with
It's like,
that.
you know, like
Oh my God! This one
you
of the
just fell in
followers-
love or something.
One of the followers that Tommy boosted, Anala_29. She just
Yeah.
says like,
Oh.
as a, oh no, we lost him again.
Yep, and he's gone.
Oh,
He'll be back.
Yeah, she goes, as a CPA tax accountant, I am constantly told by trolls that I'm on the left because I'm lazy, and she's a CPA.
Right. Yeah, no,
It's like,
that's
are you
the
stupid? Like,
that's the go-to argument.
yeah.
But the thing is we don't have like I mean we do, but like I've always said this, and it kind of sounds like elitist, but in a way it's true. Like it's much, if you're completely don't pay attention to politics and you first look at the two sides, it's just easier to get behind Republicans because it's like, I love freedom, I love drinking beer, and I want you to keep all your money and not pay taxes. You know, basically.
You
And over
vote-
here we're like, the complexities of Medicare for all, you know what I mean? And defund the police. Like it's a little bit harsher at first, but you know, that's where the whole messaging thing comes back to. We have to do a better job at, you know, just explaining stuff. Not like, you know, watering it down or anything, but just really explaining why this is better than that.
yeah, like that's why I get a lot of kind of like flack and a little bit of elitism from like other philosophy nerds and like other like really big theory heads, because I'm not afraid to explain these kind of more complex philosophical topics in an easily digestible way in under a minute, because I think everyone should have access to this information. You know, and that's why like we really need to crush elitism on our end, because there are people that are like, oh well, I'm a leftist or I'm a liberal, so I know that science is the truth and I'm just better than these Republicans. It's like, no, congratulations, you're better armed, honey, but that doesn't mean that you're better than anyone else. Share that knowledge, let's get it together. Like,
yeah, I agree. Tori, I don't even know why you get any flack, because I watch all your videos, of course.
it's because I'm a feminine presenting brown person.
It's so like,
And I'm
women get
vegan.
way more hate on TikTok for just saying the exact same things.
yeah,
And-
because like I don't get a whole lot of hate. I really don't. Like I'll get a couple of conservatives in there, and it's just like, all right, you fucking idiot. Like I don't care.
Thank you, Angie. I love you too, Angie.
Tori is our fave. Yes, Tori is great. Every time they have a video, I'm like, oh, I'm watching it. Like, and then sometimes,
Thanks.
Tori, I gotta say, sometimes I forget to hit double tap the screen, but it doesn't mean I didn't watch it.
Oh no, it's so fine.
Yeah,
He
I
doesn't forget. He does it on purpose.
yeah. It's all part of my plan. No, I just, I see the kind of flack that Tori gets, and I'm like, I know that I don't get that, and so like it's a recognition of like me being a white male. There's a lot of like, oh yes, you're great, good job, and it's like, but Tori will say a similar thing, actually sounding a lot smarter than I do, and will say a similar thing, and like all these people come after Tori, and you're like, that's so stupid. It's
well, like there's this conversation being had on TikTok, because we're also talking about TikTok, about like how like white male passing creators, you know, they just have to do the bare minimum in order to be popular. Like I posted a video before I came on here where I like basically kind of like pretended to do like, you know, that white boy thirst trap with like trap music in the background beat, and I like the caption was like, make the comment section look like a white boy that said the
I
bare
saw that.
minimum. Yeah. And it's just like, because like that's what's happening right now, and I've like talked about this with other like women of color and other feminine presenting creators of color, where we feel like we have to work so much harder to prove ourselves as intellectuals, to prove ourselves that like, to prove that we're actually funny, to prove that we're actually well read, in contrast to these like white guys that are in like politics for clout. Like they're using it to boost their social media. They're not actually here to educate people. They're just out here to be like, ah ha ha, Black Lives Matter, and then like get like 1 million views or something. Like,
Tori, don't call out Nick videos like that. Don't talk about Nick when he's not here to defend himself.
It even happens outside of the political realm a lot too, because you'll see somebody like, Bella Porch, who, blew up, and she gets massive amounts of hate. If you ever go in one of her comment sections, I mean, okay, yes, granted, like she's, it is low effort kind of content, but whatever, it's working for her. But then you'll see people like the Dajanel or whatever, the guy that was doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't even know.
He blew up, and he was literally duetting people and doing this. And then there's another guy that has over 1 million followers, and all he does is he duets them people that they take the thing and they slide it to make it even. He just like duets it and yells if it's good or bad. And he has over 1 million followers. And I've never seen one person make a video about those kind of people and be like, oh, well, he don't deserve his clout. Like it's way more with girls than it ever happens with guys.
Oh, I agree with that. Yeah. So as a socialist, I am all for redistributing whatever. Like I'm okay with the clout, but what I don't want, and Gabby Katharina said this on her live today. I'm not sure if you guys.
Whatever happened to her?
She's still around. She was on live today.
Around?
Yeah.
Oh.
She just doesn't post every day or anything. Kind of like me when I'm in finals. I'll get back into it after Monday. I just got a final tomorrow. But she said something on her live today that I really liked. And that was, there's a lot of things that I don't care about whether you gain clout from it, right? Like like facial expressions, dances, or stuff like that. Cool. Get your money, get your clout, get your followers, get a sponsor.
Real quick, hold on one sec. Just so you guys know, like Chris might not be on screen, but he's with us in the comments. I mean, he's here with us, so still
TikTok
counts.
Yeah.
So the description YouTube is not a lie. So just don't give me a strike or anything.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, like, and I really agreed with what she had to say. She was like, when it comes to TikTok and social media, whatever you got to do to get your bag, that's fine. Like, we're not going to, as long as it's not bad or anything. But the one thing that even Gabby was like, no, and that is using politics for clout. For a lot of us, it matters. Like, I'm working class. It matters. A lot of us are working class. Like, that stuff, that's our lives. Don't tell a person of color, like, if you're using them for clout, like, I think you're a despicable human being. Like, because, like, that right there, it's like, we're talking about livelihoods. We're talking about the next 4 years of our lives. We're talking about whether we're going to be able to, pay for a roof over our heads. This isn't something for you to popularize. That's not a word. Wow. Anyway, but that's my
It makes sense. It made sense. We don't need.
No, I got what you're saying.
Deconstructing language is revolutionary praxis. But I mean, like, I think the thing that rubs me the most wrong way about this whole situation is that it like the implication of this sort of using politics to gain clout rather than, being like hot or cute or whatever, is that it's ultimately objectifying like not only the proletariat, but also like women of color, men of color. Yeah. Exactly. It's commodifying it. It's making it more like consumable. And that's just like completely
frozen.
She froze. Oh no.
And that was the day that Elsa attacked Tori.
Oh goodness, Tori, what happened? She was on.
Okay, but while she gets unfrozen there or something, I really I saw my sister brought this story to my attention the other day, and because I don't obviously follow the beauty community, I had no idea about it. But I feel like it's right up your alley, so I wanted to. I'm gonna do probably a stream about the whole thing.
Okay. This
week sometime, but there's a beauty influencer that has about 1.5 million followers or subscribers on YouTube, and she went full red pill Trump over the last 3 weeks. She went full red pill Trump. Then she's claiming to be a prophet. So I'll
Wow, that's
yeah.
encouraging. That's great.
So this is we'll hold on. Let me.
Also, while you're pulling that up, who gets red pilled Trump 3 weeks ago? Like the
Well, I think she had been, but she finally came out about it.
oh,
But
okay.
she is super red pilled. Where's
Yeah.
it at? No, that's not it. Hold on.
Do I
this
advise
is
her being the last one standing in your show, by the way, or no?
right. Hopefully she'll pop back in a second. But
Yeah.
her name is Amanda Ensing,
Amanda.
and this is what she's been up to. So she's retweeting Charlie Kirk's, the Candace Owens.
Oh God.
If the MSM cared about your health, don't you think they would be teaching you how to strengthen your immune system during a pandemic? There are so many natural remedies that can keep us healthy. Why haven't they been spreading us? Why have? God damn, I can't talk. Haven't they been spreading how we can keep healthy at home?
Yeah.
And then here's she uploaded this video. Where's it at? Right there. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm not sure I've heard of her, but
I've never heard of her either. But hey, there's Tori. But
I might have seen her, but yeah.
Hold on. But this is a video she uploaded the other day. What's next for America?
Hey, Tori's back. Sweet.
Hey.
Yeah.
What's next? Oh, I have seen this chick. Yeah, I've seen her.
Oh no.
But this is
I don't know anything about her, but I've seen her.
Have you ever stopped to realize that one party voted for the president because they love what he's done for this country in policy and for the world? I mean, it's the first time we've had peace in the Middle East. That's just one thing out of a million. Where
Not
the
true.
other party voted based off of hate. Have you actually stopped to think about that? And that's something I highly recommend stopping to think about if you haven't. And I could go on and on and on for a long time of the reasons of why I decided to vote for Trump and I decided to support our president. It's funny to me that a lot of people thought this.
All right, so yeah, she goes on, she rambles there for a second. Then I'm gonna go over this in a live stream, and it'll there's a whole bunch of shit to it, but I'm just gonna briefly do it here. Then she goes on a 4-minute rant about how she is Esther reincarnated.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, not even cap.
Someone get her some
Yeah.
help.
I actually can speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, well, because I know that's like right up your alley, these religious, but like she is, a well-known beauty influencer, and now she is just completely just spreading propaganda. I mean, she quoted Out of Shadows in that 22-minute video like several times, but yeah. I just didn't play it. But here's what she had to say about.
It was already crazy before this, but I have to share it with you guys because I'm shook. Jesus has me shook right now. Okay, I'm so pumped. Okay, so when I sat down to film my video on Sunday, I called a friend and I was just telling her about what God had put on my heart, what I wanted to do. And I don't know why I called her because I never call her. We always talk about God and stuff, but I never call her. So I called her and she started breathing all this life into me, okay? And she was reminding me of the book of Esther. The book of Esther, if you don't know it, look it up after all of this and watch the video I'm going to post because it's insane. But the book of Esther is something that has never been brought up in my life. No one has pointed me to it. I've heard about it before, someone had brought it up to me years and years ago, but it's not something that's ever been spoken over me and something that I was about to do. And I thought it was very unique. It stood up in my head because Esther was this beautiful, one of the most beautiful women, and she stood up to the king and she saved her people. So it's about to get wild. So a thought popped in my head whenever she was breathing this life into me, and I was like, what if God brought me on this platform for a moment in time such as this? When you read people in the Bible, all they had was their faith in God. They didn't know God was going to come through. They believed God was going to come through, and we read the aftermath in the Bible. So I was like, okay, what if I was brought here for this moment? God got me here. I'm going to risk it all for God, right? Okay, so I held on to Esther. I uploaded my video on Monday morning. As soon as I post the video live, there were a few comments comments to come in, and the first one that I looked at was from the book of Esther, and I was like, okay, this is too weird. And that stood out to me alone, and I was like, no one's ever commented about Esther before in any of my YouTube stuff in almost 10 years. Like, this is weird. It gets weirder. About 30 minutes ago, I go into my DMs, and the first message that I see is from a follower who watched my new video, and she goes, Amanda, I love your new video. And she was like, we are living in the days of, you guessed it, Esther. And I was like, what? She sends me this video that I just finished. It's like 15 minutes long. It's
You get the idea. Basically, she goes on to say that, you know, she's Esther, like reincarnated, and, you know, God put her on this earth to, like, I don't know, teach people about eyeliner and apparently save the world, I guess. So yeah. So my thought is, my question, I guess, just rounding out, what do you like, you know?
Oh, I can talk about
Yeah,
that.
what do you think about, you know, beauty influencer, couple million subs on YouTube, spreading this kind of stuff? Like, what do you think about these, like, religious propagate crazy mofos? I guess.
All right,
I don't know.
so here's the deal with that. I don't know how religious either of you two were raised, but I can tell you.
I went to a Christian school, but I didn't pay attention.
Okay, so here's the deal with that. Esther is. So first of all, watching that video, deconstructing it, I don't believe her that she's never heard of Esther. If you're raised hard right, like you've heard of Esther, and
Well, she's definitely full of shit.
Yeah. So here's the deal. That story is highly pumped out for a lot of different reasons. The story of Esther. A lot of times it's meant to be like the hard right evangelical girls will take hold of that and be like, I'm the spirit of Esther. Not actually like that crazy nut job, but they'll look into it as like, I have the same character as Esther. I'm really pretty, and like I'm using my beauty for God. And they do this. Like it's an actual thing. Like they look at it as like this thing to aspire to. This may sound crazy, but my sister, who I don't talk to, we're very estranged, sounds like that. Like so it's
Ouch.
I have a TikTok follower that's mentioned it's the Proverbs 31 woman. So a lot of it goes back to that. And basically what we're seeing in that video is like being worldly, but using faith to justify it. And that's kind of what they do. And it's like, look, I'm still a Christian and I'm still this hot. It's kind of like this really weird down rabbit hole of Christendom that's like hard to explain unless you've been raised in it, but it's pretty bad.
Speaking of rabbit holes, so in that YouTube video I showed, she claims that everybody's asleep. She, you know, you can tell she's definitely Q-pilled. You know, everybody's asleep. They need to wake up. And she lists a bunch of sources in the description. Here's her source list. You can't, I don't know. Here,
Is it all YouTube?
It is. It's not even YouTube.
Oh,
It's
oh God. Oh, geez, Louise.
TikTok video, TikTok, whitehouse.gov. So one.
You got one.
But that's just like Trump's PR campaign, basically. YouTube, get outspoken, Facebook, Instagram, Facebook. You get the idea. So, yeah, that's where we're. Yeah, it's icky.
So yeah, it's I want to. That's one of the things I want to do on my TikTok channel is kind of try to enlighten those that may not understand what the right is doing because it seems so crazy, right?
Right, and she has a big following, and she packages it well. If you don't know what to look for, like you know,
it's
there's
not crazy to them. That's what I'm trying to tell everybody. It's not crazy to them. We've all
Not
seen
at all.
it. Yeah, we've all seen that video of like the girl that like showed herself getting beat up for not taking the vaccine and then going to
Oh yeah,
the beast,
Mhm.
right? I had TikTok on it. That to the rest of TikTok and the majority of the world that wasn't raised in that community, they look at that and they're like, "That's insanity." I guarantee you, she does not think that's insane. They
No.
were raised that way, and it's really important to draw light to. And that's kind of like in this age of social media where I feel like we can. I will be one of the vanguards against that to be like, here's what's going on. Like expose, put some light in the dark places, man. You know, that's what you got to do.
right. I think, and I I know, like, what's her name? Victoria Hammett. She's like religious, but she's on the left. And that's another thing that the right has
For the left.
completely. What's up?
So religiously, me and Victoria are pretty much in the same vein, but like she's more soc dem, like social democrat, and like
Right.
obviously where I'm at. so I'm
But-
so
But I think
yeah.
But I think you can like, like I'm not, religious at all, but I think you can have like faith in a creator and be on the left. But that's another thing that the right has taken. Like
Yeah.
now if you're on the left, you're just like a godless, soulless person, no matter what. And that's just how they kind of view people, or that's the characteristics that they stick on them.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've said this before and I'll say it again. All of the Abrahamic religions, when it comes to scripture and not necessarily the hierarchy that has been, birthed from the scripture, is pretty base, is very communal. I was talking to one of my former evangelical friends, and she was like, yeah, they say that like we don't need to be having a government. I'm like, well, that's like anarcho-communism is what you're asking for.
Yeah.
Like that's really what it is. But I mean, the right has successfully let's also remember like how America was founded. America was like the people that first came here that like were like the first Americans, not the indigenous people to this land, were, if you think about it, weird religious separatists that basically got kicked out of England because they were like just had this very wacky interpretation of scripture. So like that's forever shaped how we approach religion, specifically Christianity.
Well, it's embedded itself in the conservative rhetoric, and we've talked about it before. But I feel like until we're able to break that wall and that connection, like it's going to be hard to really gain traction with that community. And it's important to realize that that is not a small demographic. I've tried telling people on the left this. If you think that that is fringe, it's not. It's a large group. It is for example, the church that I used to go to, I don't go there anymore, right? Like I don't even go to church anymore. But anyway, the church that I used to go to after the election, the sermon, I can give you some quotes that the pastor said, quote, "Socialism is a pagan ideology from Satan himself. We are headed toward..."
Really?
That's a direct quote. I can link you guys later to the sermon.
I believe you.
We are headed towards a one world government under Joe Biden. We must stand fast because the mark of the beast is coming. This was said in a church, in a large church. They believed this, and people were going, amen, like clapping hands and stuff like that. They see us as like agents of Satan. That's why it's so hard to break. That it's so important to realize that. So
I told you that, I went to a Christian school for 12 years when I was, I think, 14, a freshman in high school. Like it was one of those schools that went from kindergarten all the way up through. When I was about 14, I had a disagreement with the principal because I always worked young. I had, a job when I was really young. And I said something like, I need to, I have to go make money or something. And then she said something about how I need to go to church. And I was like, well, I don't need church. I said something smart ass like, oh, I don't need church if I have money. And she's like, well, you're going to go to hell if you don't attend church. Basically, she told me I was going to hell for like not going to church. And like at that point, I'm like, there's something fishy here. This seems wrong. Telling a 14-year-old you should go to hell. Yeah, but I've always seen the racket side of it, but like you said, a lot of people don't realize that is a huge section of people. The same thing with the conspiracy people, the anti-vax people, the crazy religious right. Like that is a huge section of the country that is daily falling deeper and deeper and deeper into.
That's why Out of Shadows was as successful and spread as much as it did, because Out of Shadows was able to appeal to a large evangelical audience because they were able to be like, listen, we are literally fighting Satan in this this narrative we've created.
Yeah. Well, it's important to realize that they've dehumanized the left. I grew up hearing that. I grew up hearing that everybody on the left are actively trying to kill Christians. That's what they want to do someday. It goes back into that martyrdom thing. And also, 2 points I want to make to that. We are going to see a flip now that Biden won. For the past 4 years, we haven't heard a lot about the rapture. We haven't heard a lot about these things. They only do that when a Democrat's in power. Because the whole time Obama was in office, I grew up under Obama, right? I kept hearing Jesus is coming soon. I kept hearing they kept looking for the mark of the beast. That was like the stuff that you would see, any kind of identification. They would be like mark of the beast. They constantly do this. It is important to realize that these are not some crazy whack. They are a lot of the time crazy wackos that you have to deal with, Driven, on like for the QAnon circle. That's not my.
I do it to myself though. I like the punishment.
Yeah, that's all you, baby. But I'm just saying, like, they're the person next to you. They have a camera on their car. You work with them. They go to your church. They go to your school. These are average, everyday people that believe this stuff.
Right. Your uncle is one rabbit hole away from being believing in deep state cabals and everything. Like it just takes one rabbit hole from one person who hasn't really paid attention to politics or just kind of been apolitical their whole life. They get down one rabbit hole, they hear about this one thing, and then bam, before you know it, they're talking about how Joe Biden's a fucking lizard person or something.
Well,
it's
we're going to see a lot more of it over the next 4 years. It's only going to get worse. That's why I was talking to, and Tori, I'm sure knows him, Southern Socialist. So we were talking.
Love him.
He's great. He's so cool. Anyway, so me and him will be talking in the DMs, and we're kind of like, that's why we get frustrated with Democrats, like establishment Democrats, and Driven's not one of them, so it's okay. The establishment Democrats are like, hey, now that political TikTok's over, what do you want to go do? It's like,
right, yeah.
It's like,
I just want to go back to brunch. Like, no, dude, no.
Yeah.
It's so funny, guys. Like it's so funny you mentioned that because like Southern Socialist and I were talking. So no, geez, Louise, no, he's so sweet. I didn't mean to say it like that. But we were talking about this earlier in the DMs about how like establishment Democrats or like really like liberal, neoliberal liberals will like look at a problem and be like, you were seen, you were heard, and you were understood. And then like the people that are like suffering are like, okay, what are we going to do about it? They're like, you were seen, you were heard, you were understood. It's like, no, what are we going to do about it?
That's my point. And Driven, you're on the same team. What I mean to say is like, we're going to be here putting out praxis, putting out ideologies and like ways to make progress and grow. We'll be here in 2 years as long as I still have a phone, and I'm not dead. Like we'll still be making content.
That's a pretty low bar. So,
yeah.
As long as I don't get deported, we're all good.
The point is like we're still going to be like making arguments for change. And when all these like clout chasing Democrats try to come back in a couple of years for the next election, it's like cool. Glad to have you with us as far as voting goes, but like you need to understand, take a back seat. Like we've been here, like so, and it's gonna be frustrating.
I think it being an election year and just with all the riots and everything that's going on, there was so much like fake activism, just doing it for the gram. There's one good compilation of people like posing with hammers and stuff in a drill, like pretending to help board stuff up or fix things. You had a lot of that this summer, and it's starting to slowly fade away. And I think that's the key for the progressive left at the next 2 years is to stay on top of it and keep bringing awareness and attention and putting out content or doing activism and going to marches and campaigning and bringing awareness to stuff. That's the whole reason I really started making content, is like because Bernie lost because we didn't have enough voices pushing back on the mainstream narrative, you know what I mean? It was, well, we can't vote for Bernie because they're going to call him a socialist.
Right.
And then we voted for Joe Biden and they called him a socialist anyway. You know,
Yeah,
it wasn't any different.
Saying that is what made me be like, you know what? We don't have to be like, we don't have to pretend that we're something that we're not in order to be palatable to centrists. Because you could say the most neoliberal thing. Joe Biden could say that he wants to start a coup in Bolivia, you know, and people would be like, oh my goodness, what kind of socialism is going on here with Joe Biden throwing a coup in Bolivia? You know, the right would say that. So it's like, it's time for us to just own up to it and be like, and what about it? Like, this is what it is. You were taught wrong. You were being continuously tricked by Republicans and by like what you mentioned earlier, like sustaining like McCarthyism in our culture. We are the people that are actually trying to open up the curtain and reveal what's actually going on here. Like it's an Occam's razor situation, guys. There's no secret cabal. There is a hierarchy, but it's not one that's necessarily spiritual or evil. It's greed, sadly.
Right. Most definitely.
It's crazy because, like everything you guys said, it's crazy to think about because the very things that we're like trying to fight for is something the evangelical right should be. Like, or the evangelical Christians should be, because everything that I was raised with, look what Jesus did, all this other stuff. I'm like, cool. He's definitely on the left. It's like, that's like, if that's
right.
what you go by is like the teaching, like these teachings, right? Like we need to somehow figure out a way to be like, that does not make him like conservative, like in any way, like at all. In fact, he attacked the establishment. In fact, he attacked capitalists. You know, like he did this consistently. So that's one of those things to bring in. But it's hard when they see a sickle and hammer and think like I had to deal with today. And they see that and they go, oh, my God, that's as bad as a Nazi. And you're like.
By the way, real quick, guys, while you're here, if you could like the stream, I'd really, really appreciate it. You know, let's get them likes up. You know, a little plug there real quick. But speaking of elites, establishment, and all that stuff, the Georgia runoff, I think, is going to be really, really important, and it's fun watching them eat their own right now. They had a debate tonight. A couple decent clips here.
Didn't Liberty Hangout tweet something like, don't vote for Purdue? And we're like, whoa, base Liberty Hangout. Like,
well, yeah, but for the wrong reason.
Yeah, like, of course.
Why don't they, can someone enlighten me on that? Why is Caitlin Bennett against Purdue? Because
basically, Lynn Wood, the guy who's one of the guys bringing all these lawsuits about voting machines, Smartmatic, Hugo Chavez's ghost, all that stuff, is saying that the voting machines in Georgia are rigged. So therefore, he's telling Republicans not to vote because we don't want to vote in another rigged election. And he said they shouldn't vote unless Brian Kemp, the governor, calls a special session and awards Georgia's electors to Trump. So basically, like, don't vote for the Republicans unless they steal the election, is kind of the message. But, so, you know, fun message, I guess.
Ridiculous.
Senator, did you believe the election was rigged? Senator, did you believe the election was rigged?
Look, Greg, it's very clear that there were issues in this election. There are 250 investigations open.
First, I just want to say, she looks like a cartoon character. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? She looks like a mannequin doll with hair. Like, I don't know. Just saying.
Including an investigation into one of my opponent's organizations, you know, for voter fraud. And we have to make sure that Georgians trust this process because of what's at stake in this election. You know, the promise that Chuck Schumer made was to fundamentally change America. And I'm making sure that we don't go down the road of socialism.
Oh, my God.
So basically, she's asked, hey, was the election stolen? And she ends up with Chuck Schumer wants socialism.
It's like, do you think the elections were rigged? I just
wish
don't
Chuck
want there to be
Schumer was
socialism.
Yeah, me too.
That's my rebuttal. That's my
thank
rebuttal
you so
every
much.
single time. They're like, but there are socialists. I'm like, dude, I wish.
No, it's the go-to talking point.
Yeah.
But so then they brought up the whole stock scandal.
Yeah, go
And this is
first.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Senator Loeffler, when you received the private briefing regarding the coronavirus pandemic, you dumped millions of dollars of stock in order to protect your own investments. And then weeks later, when there came an opportunity to give ordinary Georgians an extra $600 of relief, you said you saw no need and called it counterproductive. Why do you think it's counterproductive to help ordinary Georgians in the middle of a pandemic?
Well, thank you for that question, because I've been completely exonerated. Those are lies perpetrated by the left-wing media and Democrats to distract.
Let's just clear something up. She was not completely exonerated. Only if completely exonerated means I absolutely did the thing they accused me of. That's the only thing she was exonerated of. She 100% went to a briefing and then immediately sold stock that was going to clearly be affected by the coronavirus, and bought stock that was going to capitalize off of there being a pandemic.
But
their
I
radical
participated in
agenda.
capitalism.
Since I got to the Senate, I've worked
Right.
hard to deliver
But
relief to
capitalism.
Georgians during this pandemic, and I'm continuing to do that. But look what Democrats have done. They have stood for stonewalling relief that I voted for twice in the Senate to deliver relief to families, to farmers, to schools and hospitals. They're playing politics. That's what they're using their lies to cover.
Could she be any more like, that is why Democrats, socialism, Antifa, super soldier, Joe Biden, socialism.
The
George
fact that they
Soros.
don't have a positive
George
agenda to
Soros,
lift
yes.
Georgians up. They want to defund the police, raise your taxes, implement the Green New Deal that would crush jobs and opportunity.
I'm telling you, man, it's the same four buzzwords for
I
every one of these.
do.
What I'm working on is making sure that
same
we can
four
get the
buzzword.
economy going again, that we can drive forward after this pandemic. And I've been working side by side for my colleagues to make sure that we get that done, and we have delivered results. $47 billion that I brought here to Georgia saved 1.5 million jobs at small businesses.
Yeah, she
Reverend,
didn't
you
bring-
have 30 seconds to respond.
All right, that's
You a
pretty much.
robot, dude. Like,
So
She's
basically,
a capitalist robot.
yeah. So Raphael Warnock, just so everybody knows, is a total neolib. He's not for defunding the police. He doesn't support Medicare for all. I'm pretty sure he doesn't even support free college. Like, he is super establishment. But yet when she's asked any question, it's like Antifa, super soldier, defund the police, Antifa, Black lives don't matter, Antifa.
It's
like,
time
dude.
to fearmonger. That's
Yeah.
what the Republicans are doing right now.
I
It's
think
time
their
to
last card
fearmonger.
to play. I
Right.
think they're out of cards. I really do. I really believe the Republican Party is cards. I feel like in 2016 they played their second to the last card, and that was fear of the other. It was fear of immigrants. It was fear of people of color. It was fear of anybody that's not them. It was fear of Islamophobia. Like, that was their second to last card to play, right? Their last absolute card is this one. It's conspiracy theories. It's misinformation, because they can't go off of anything solid anymore. So what we're dealing with is like the absolute destruction of their own ideology. The name might stick around for Republicans, but that party is not what it was 8 years ago. It's not what it was. Yeah, like, so it's concerning, because I don't think enough people are recognizing that.
And then it's also concerning because these like cards that they're playing have lasting implications. Like, I mean, I live very close to the border of America and Mexico, and it's just like so sad to see how hard it is for women that are seeking genuine asylum to get that asylum because of the amount of fear mongering that's happened. And like ICE was founded, well, not founded, but like it was enabled under the Obama administration. But conditions are just getting worse and worse and worse because of the American people's xenophobia. Like, it's just like this rhetoric that they use to just get power has lasting impact on the people.
The visa, I don't know how much you guys have ever dealt with like the visa situation or trying to get like a work visa to come over here. It is ridiculously hard.
It's absolutely, they're like, it took a total of 10 years for my mother's family to all come over here. Like, they came in like batches. It was very slow. And they were like, and I remember talking to my mom and I was like, well, what do you think about the whole legal versus illegal thing? And she's like, no one should have, they're like, if you don't want people to come here illegally, like, why do you make the immigration process so hard? And
So hard.
and it leaves an extremely bad taste in my mouth, considering how America got its wealth in the first place. America got its wealth in the first place through exploiting the global South. And yet when people from the global South like read the room, be like, oh, wait, all of my resources and wealth that would have been here is centralized in America. I need to move to America just to feed my family. America says, no, even if you want to work for that wealth that we stole from your land and your people, we're still not going to let you earn it. And it's just, went in a bit of a tangent there. I apologize.
Right.
But...
No, it was good. It was great. Clip it. Just the whole system is crazy. You know that immigration judges, for instance, like they're not lifetime appointees. It's a totally different system. They're basically at the mercy of the current DOJ. So whoever is attorney general basically has control over immigration judges if they get fired, hired, stuff like that. Like they're not lifetime appointees. And just the whole visa system is insanely hard to make happen.
Yeah.
There's a program called H-2B visas. It's like work visas, temporary work visas. And they only allow like 30,000 every year. And it's only for like a 6 month time. And really they should allow more of those. But just on top of that, just like getting a regular visa, I used to have to deal with that for the business I used to have. I tried to help this one kid come over to the States legally. We never got it done before I lost contact with him. But we were at year 5 of trying to do it the legal way, as opposed to him just coming over here. It took 5 years, and he was still having issues trying to go the legal route.
I went to high school with a girl in Texas that didn't have her citizenship till she graduated high school. Like, that's a real issue. And like, she graduated high school, and like a month later, she was like, "Hey, I'm actually a citizen now." And like, the girl like had been living in America since she was like 1 or 2, and that's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. Like, she was from originally, but
and because of like how bureaucratic the immigration system is, you have people with like, because everyone, like, what the Republican Party and conservatives want to like make you think these immigrants are like, they want you to make like, oh, these guys are just laborers that like want to take our jobs. It's like, well, I mean, let's talk about the Philippines. I have the Sentosa cases in like my link tree on TikTok if anyone wants to like really delve deep into it. But basically, these are trained professional nurses that were able to be exploited and abused because they thought they were coming to America legally. They found like a shortcut or something, but it turns out no, they weren't. They like weren't allowed to leave their facility. They lived in terrible conditions because like the people that were bringing them over here were like, listen, we basically have a say on whether or not only can you earn money, but also whether or not you are going to be arrested by the United States by exposing you. And they thought they were doing the right thing. So like all of this bureaucracy just puts people at risk. And these people are like, not only just trying to like, better their family situation, but like if there's not enough like demand for jobs in like the Philippines or more like underdeveloped worlds, and they're trying to go ahead and use their skills here, like this is a very diverse set of people. It's not just laborers, it's also very well-educated people. Not saying that, a well-educated person has more inherent value than, someone that like works with their hands, but like we need to really dismantle this idea that like all immigrants are just here to like, pick your almonds or something. It's just.
Well, they restarted the DACA program, so that's a good thing. Go ahead, Jay. By the way, guys, we'll take if you guys got questions or anything, we'll go ahead. We'll start taking questions here in a minute after we chat for another minute. So if you have any questions, put them in the chat, and then I'll pop them up on screen like that. So that's not a question, I don't think. But,
but it was fact.
Example. But it was based.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
No, I just want to say I read a really interesting article recently about this conservative guy that was like attacking an economist. I always never know how to pronounce it. Economista. I don't know how to say it in English. Like,
Economist.
Thank you. Figured it out. Okay.
I liked Economista though.
And he was talking to him, and yeah, the economist that he was talking to, he was like, so I'm going to pose these questions that come from conservative lines, and we want to hear you answer them. And it basically debunked a lot of the arguments from the right about immigration. Things like it's going to take away our jobs. It doesn't. It increases competition, like within certain circles. It increases, like it doesn't hurt the pay wage as long as like it was very long. But my point is like this economist like consistently was like, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. In fact, there are far more studies showing that immigrants coming to America and joining our workforce helps us in so many ways. And we have got to stop like demonizing this. And it comes from, and you know, I haven't heard the right really speak on it so much recently. That was like a 4 years ago thing, but it'll come back. Like they'll do it again. So
Yeah, no, there's too much shit going on. Like let's move down the list a little bit. But a good piece of content, if you're curious about like a good debate I saw where somebody who was anti-immigration just get destroyed by somebody who was pro-immigration, was Destiny, the streamer, versus Lauren Southern, which I don't know if you guys know who that is, but she's like a far right.
I do not like Miss Southern.
I don't know.
No, she's.
But I know Destiny is.
Yeah, no, she's
a fan of Destiny either,
right,
but I really don't like Miss Southern.
Yeah, no, I mean Destiny, I don't really see eye to eye with him all that much. He's got this weird like kind of neo-lib way a little bit, but at that debate he really just destroyed every one of the bad talking points that, you know, Republicans come up with when they're like, oh, you know, they're taking our jobs. First of all, we're not even having any kids, so we need to immigrate as many people as possible. So, because I swear, like everybody back in the day had like 12 children for some reason.
Well,
and the appeal.
Like mine and Tori's generation, totally like destroyed in the dating world. Like we had COVID hit at the prime age. What do you want us to do? You want us to do a social distancing date? Like, like come on, man.
It sucks so much, dude.
It's yeah, we can't meet anybody. Like, I can't meet anybody organically. And that's usually how all my dates would go. I'd be like, run into somebody, hi, how are you? And then you have a conversation. And it's like, I hate online dating, so I'm not going to do it. So.
But I think the only thing that works is you have to do a TikTok trend. You know, they always do like the Tinder bio, like, you know, they'll go.
I refuse.
That seems to be the only solid pickup line.
I don't have social skills, so I've just been, I don't know how I've survived for this long, honestly.
Also, Tori, like, I don't, you've got to, like, I just want to see you grow so much. I don't know why. Like
in stature, not in followers. He wants you to be like 6'10".
I need you, Tori, to just reach 5'5". I know you're at 5 foot, but
right. I need you playing power forward for the Bulls by the end of the year.
Well, I mean, I think I'm gonna make like a pretty. I hope this video does well, but like I'm finishing up The Wretched of the Earth by Frantz Fanon, and you know, I really am excited to kind of like make some more videos about colonization and imperialism, because America has a very people think that colonization existed like before capitalism. I'm like, no, the type of colonization we're talking about is a product of capitalism. So I'm hoping that might kind of get me up there, but hopefully I can get to 10K by the end of this week, which I'm excited about.
Honestly, I think I'm moving towards like more. I'm trying to do as much on like YouTube and stuff. Like I don't know. I just like doing long form content better than the TikToks, and I feel like it's such a like political TikTok is getting super saturated.
Yeah.
Trying to find like I'm starting a series probably tomorrow or the next day about like I think I talked to you about it, about progressive policy and how we can achieve it. Because just doing like news of the day type stuff is, I don't know, I'm starting to get bored with it. So I want to transition into doing some more about progressive policy and and shit that we actually need to like focus on and to make, I don't know, the world a better place or some shit like that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of there's a lot more demand for EduTalk, for like educational TikTok, because you know political TikTok is just like things are happening, but like now people are like, okay, but what do we do about it? So like, you know,
I'm actually kind of glad to see that personally.
Yeah, me too.
I'm really excited to see the educational side come in, because that was always where I wanted to go with my TikTok creation. That was always where I started out. That's where I wanted to be. That's why I followed Driven very early on. Yes, I was around when Driven had like 2,000 followers. I was there.
Right, yeah.
Thank God. Anyway, but
yeah, you were following me before I even came out with my Fall of the Cabal series on YouTube, I think.
Yeah,
that's been
because just like I was trying to get people out of the queue hole, and then I found you, and I was like, oh my God, this guy's perfect. Anyway,
that's something I want to focus more on too, is like getting back into like actually explaining like what's going on in the Q world, because I've been kind of like haven't really been focusing on that as much, but I really think it's one of the biggest issues facing our current structure. Is I want to focus on like what we do about right-wing propaganda, call it out, and then do like progressive policy type stuff.
Yeah.
And by the way, to answer your, no, I'm not a Bulls fan. Real quick, that's just the first team that came to mind. I'm actually an Orlando Magic fan because I grew up in Florida, even though I now live in Minnesota. But I'm not rooting for the Timberwolves. So just not doing it.
I set myself out with 3 goals recently. That was like it was after Tommy boosted me. I set myself out with 3 goals. I said, number 1, like I want to with maintaining a little bit of moderate gatekeeping, of course, as to like, okay, here's where the differences are, right? But I want to be able to like, hey, so let's unite the left a little bit, because we're about to go through a pretty rough time. Trust me. So like, that's one of my goals. Unite the clans, basically, like from Braveheart when William Wallace is like goes to the lords. It's like we have to unite the clans, however he says it.
That was pretty solid. That was solid.
Yeah, but we need to like work together for now because there's a greater threat, right? So that is one of my goals. Another one is obviously kind of bringing light to the evangelical right, because I'm just realizing a lot of people don't understand like how they are. Like that Esther story, that was crazy to me. I've heard stuff like that.
Right.
And the third thing is, whenever I get the opportunity, which isn't often because I don't seek out conservative creators, eviscerate them, throw them in a paper shredder whenever I find them. Like if they come after me, I'm going to eviscerate you. Like I won't do it.
I will end you.
Yeah, that's the last one I did was a stitch with Cam Higbee because he was on my For You page. And I
see that. Why is he on my For You page?
I was so upset. Like I remember like scrolling and I was like immediately triggered when I saw his face. I was like, TikTok done fucked up today. I was
well, that's something. I mean, not just the TikTok guys, but just like I'm working on another video about Tim Pool and how he how he pushes his message out there. Like these people are destroying our country one YouTube video at a time. The Tim Pools, the Steven Crowders, the Candace Owens. Are they getting taken down? Is that what you mean? I mean, no. I mean, I think Candace Owens is suing Facebook right now for censoring her or something. But they just these people get hundreds of millions of views, and they push propaganda, and it needs to be talked about more. I feel like too many people just like push it to the side and are like, oh well, like who's gonna listen to that? Like a lot of people are actually listening to that.
Well, at the end of the day, 75 million people voted for Trump.
Yeah, and we need to figure out why. We need to figure it out and combat it.
Yeah, so that's why I'm big on, and I've come a little bit as far as the left. I'll help police that side. Like the teens need to chill. Like I'm like, what is it?
I like your recent TikTok where you were like, I'm basically your dad right now. And I'm telling you, you need to get it together. I mean, like, my content is also like, a lot of people are like, oh, Tora, you're part of the reason why the left is eating itself. It's like, no, part of dialectical materialism is constant reflection and understanding, what's around you. And if you're not doing that constantly, you're not doing the whole leftist thing correctly. And I am gonna go ahead and snap at you because, like, oh no, where did JV go?
And like none of you guys can stay the whole time. Like we always
I
lose
know.
everybody at least once.
Oh,
Bam.
oh, he's back.
He's back.
What happened?
Boom.
I don't know.
Hell, I don't know, man.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It was the Christians. They zapped
You're
you.
after me. No.
Also,
so-
thank you, Tonio.
Yeah, no, it
Mm.
was funny because Tommy recently made a TikTok about the evangelical right, like Jesus is coming. And I went ahead and left a comment, and I was like, hey, Tommy, you're entering some very weird territory. I just need to tell you to buckle up. Like if you're going to go after them, know what you're getting into. Because, like, I can tell you. It gets weird. So, yeah.
Guys, we need questions in the chat.
Oh yeah.
There's 20,
We're on
there's
TikTok.
20 of y'all here. Somebody gonna have a question, even if it's dumb. Ask us anything. What's our favorite food? I don't care. Just
Yeah.
I want to engage with you guys. We're trying to
Yeah.
community build here. Okay, we're
That's why
building
I
a
like
community.
That's why I like talking about TikTok to an extent to kind of like reveal behind the curtain a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And
Behind the screen.
Yeah, because like
So
people
kind
of-
see you as a creator, and you're like, well, yes, but I mean, like, there's a lot of things like,
It's time to erode the parasocial relationship. I mean, there's a lot of talk on that going right now on TikTok about like stan culture with like political TikTok. It's like, that's not healthy, guys. Like, please don't do that. Please don't. Like, I appreciate love. We're all about that.
Real quick funny story. You know the lady that was at the hearing with Rudy Giuliani?
yes,
Remember her?
yes,
Yeah. Oh, wrong guy.
wait, that's me.
Well, she was on probation for 2 years for sending sex tapes to her husband's or her boyfriend's ex. So that's police reports obtained by Deadline Detroit reveal obscenity and computer crimes charges filed against the 33-year-old from wherever she lives. Mother stem from a harassment campaign she waged against a 42-year-old woman in 2018 and early 2019. Friday, the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office said Carone pleaded the initial charges down to disorderly conduct. Her boyfriend's ex-wife, Jessica, called Southgate police about multiple times between November 2018 and September 2019, initially after receiving 3 videos from an unknown email address showing Carone and her ex having sex. Carone's last name was then right. So yeah, that's what
Okay, so I
that's
saw.
what the Star Witness is doing, sending revenge porn.
Okay, so I saw where you said wherever she's from. I'm from
Oh.
Detroit. I can tell you where that is. That's Grosse Pointe Woods. They're rich as hell over there.
I wasn't sure if it was Grosse Pointe or Gross. I wasn't.
It's called Grosse Pointe, and they are where I talk about burning the mansions and eating the rich. I'm talking about them.
Good. As you should.
Yeah, it is. Grosse Pointe is one of the most. It's like there's a few very rich parts of Metro Detroit, and that's old money. Grosse Pointe is like old money. So if you grow up there, your whole family's been rich for a long time.
Tori, I feel like this question is tailor-made for you.
Professor
How would you describe dialectical materialism to someone who has no idea?
Okay, so dialectical materialism is what we call in philosophy a lens. And what a lens is a method of looking at the world. This method was developed by Marx and Engels and also by Hegel. But you don't have to know their names in order to understand what dialectical materialism is. It's basically saying that there are 2 parts of kind of the world. There is observable reality in the physical world. So like the stuff that's like the laptop I'm using to talk to you right now, this cup right here, and all of that. And they're existing outside, the stuff is happening in it. And then the second part is your consciousness, which is like the stuff you use to think and all of that. Now, your connection to the material world is your body and as well as your senses. So what dialectical materialism asks us to do, knowing those 2 factors, is for us to use our brains to observe what's going on in reality holistically, like understand what's fully going on in the world right now before we make a decision to solve our problems. So an example I used on my TikTok was, and this is a very simple example, this is something that's not very political, was that I'm a barista. And before the pandemic, we would give people glass mugs to enjoy their coffee in if they wanted to, have their beverage in-house. And I had one customer that just dropped the mug full of coffee everywhere. That event happened in the material world. And I observed it using my sense of sight and hearing because I saw the glass break and I heard it shatter. So before I go ahead and decide how I'm going to clean up that mess, I am trying to look at what exactly happened. Where did the glass fall? Where did the mug fall? How much did it splatter? How is the customer feeling? So before I make a decision, I'm like looking at all of these different scenarios. Do I need to get a rag? Do I need to get a mop? Do I need to get a trash can? Do I maybe need to comfort the customer first because they seem very disheveled and sort of embarrassed? What do I need to do to make the best decision to solve this problem effectively? So dialectical materialism is basically just taking into account all of your surroundings so that way you can find effective solutions to the problems in your surroundings. Does that make sense?
Amen. I think that was a great explanation.
Okay. Is everyone cool?
That's why Tori, this is what I've talked about. All of us on the left have different jobs. Tori is so good at here, let me break it down for you. And because
she's underrated, definitely.
Oh, thank you. Also, if you are interested, there is this great Huey P. Newton speech where he explains it in a revolutionary context. So it's Huey P. Newton introduces revolutionary intercommunalism at Boston College. So look up that speech because he also defines that as well as some other really cool Marxist and socialist concepts.
I know the speech you're talking about. I'll put it down in the description after we're done. So if you guys want to check that out.
He defines a lot of things very well and very concisely.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think you slam dunk that one, so we'll move on.
I don't feel like anybody can go toe to toe with Tori on Praxis. Tori's gonna
honestly, Chandler could. The Communard could.
You and the Communard could. Chandler could. The top three that I think are Chandler and probably Comrade Bunny.
Oh yeah, Comrade Bunny's awesome.
You three are like the vanguard of knowledge.
That's fantasy. I want to be in a vanguard of knowledge.
Oh, dude,
damn!
No, you're on the front lines against the conservatives.
You are so extremely thorough-driven. You are so extremely thorough. I'm so excited to see your analysis on things, not just in Q, but also outside of Q, because you always have your facts straight. You do a good job at the whole dialectical materialism thing.
Honestly, Driven,
I try.
I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you can just find everything and be like, well, this took me 5 minutes to debunk you. How'd you do that? Because me, I'm I gotta keep looking. And it's but I just picture you in a bat cave with just computers everywhere of just massive databases. It's great.
Well, according to the Q people, it's my mom's basement, but whatever. It's got Wi-Fi, so I'm not leaving anytime soon. Okay, so next question. How can the Democratic, I feel like we talked about this a little bit, but I think we have a lot more we could touch on. I think this is actually one of the things we talk about the most because it's one of the most important things. That's why it's a good question. How can the Democratic Party sell their platform better? Their marketing is not good. Not good as being very generous. I would say it's horrible.
It's being very polite.
We're not good salesmen for the most part on the left. They're just not. When you guys want to go first, or no?
You could go.
I'll go first. What we need to do, because our society is just quick, digestible slogans. We have to pay a lot of people a lot of money to sit down and figure out how we sell these ideas, but we package them in a better way. Instead of calling it packing the court, you have to find a better way to say,
balancing the court.
Yeah, we need to balance the court. We need to, limit lifetime appointments. We have to find better talking points, and we have to do it at all levels. And we need to do, on top of that, is we need to have more voices. And I think what happens is the Democratic Party as a whole, it's too focused on the top. We're very top heavy. I think the whole Democratic Party kind of sold out to did a prevent style defense to get Joe Biden elected, but they didn't worry about the House or the Senate or local elections. And that's why we didn't do so well.
Love the football.
Instead of tying Trump to the Republican Party, we tried to say, oh, Trump is he's evil. If we get rid of him, the Republicans will go back to normal or something like that, which just isn't true. So we need to have more voices and better slogans, and we need to do it at every level of government. That's why we won Georgia, because since 2018, Stacey Abrams has been out there with a message and getting people registered to vote and campaigning, been on the ground. And Stacey Abrams is really like a typical centrist Democrat. So
Right.
if you have a better message and you really sit there and break it down to people, and you, do it and, all the time, every year, not just during election years, you get in more people's ears and you can change minds. I probably changed more minds knocking on doors for Bernie than I did on the internet, just because when you're one-on-one with somebody, you can do more. So we got to educate, and we got to get out there and just, keep doing stuff.
Yeah.
I would say.
Tori, you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. I think just to build on that, and I've talked about this before, the Democratic Party needs to be less produced. It feels like a really overproduced pop song you'd hear in a kid's movie. It's not digestible. It's kind of annoying. It doesn't feel grounded in the people's interest. So one thing we need to do is kind of stop being I'm not a part of the Democratic Party. They wouldn't take me. Not that I want to be a part of them.
I scared
But, but one thing they need to do is be actually authentic, because this gets into an even bigger conversation about how most liberals are ultimately performative in their activism, where they're not looking at the real root of the problem. So I feel what the Democratic Party needs to stop doing is cutting out the fat and addressing the issues head on, because they're not really good at doing that.
Yeah,
No, one thing they're doing a lot, is they try to subvert talking about problems by
Yes.
doing diversity hires. We
Exactly.
hired these POCs, so you can't talk about their roots, talking with doing business with war criminals because they're POCs. It's no, dude, no, that's not how this works anymore.
They are so guilty of I said this in one of my TikToks, tokenization politics. And I use that instead of identity politics, because identity politics is something that's very different.
yeah, I like that too.
Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Jay.
Oh,
My
no,
bad.
no, it's fine. I just feel like there's a couple things I wanted to hit on. I was talking about this with Southern Socialists. So Democrats, a couple of things. One, they abandon the cause very quickly. When they get a small victory, they disappear. And that is a part that is very annoying as a leftist especially, but also as the working class. Because me and Southern Socialists were, and I won't call the TikToker out because I don't want to have all that nonsense. But one of them posted something about how I'm not a leftist. Stop putting me that way. I'm a Democrat. Okay, I just want to
Putting me that way.
yeah, I want to make other content, and it's that's cool. But when you trivialize leftism as a movement that is I'm trying to secure our future, not just for me, but for my kids and the kids after that. It's our livelihood. So number one, Democrats, stop winning an election and think your job's done. And that goes for TikTok creators and everything.
Amen. Yeah.
Because they do that. As soon as they win, they're okay, cool. They did it in 2010 or 2008 to 2010. 2010 they lost because they were well, we have Barack Obama. It's that doesn't yeah. Anyway, number two, like stop using the working class people that vote for you as a talking point, and that is what they do consistently, and that is why I'm not a Democrat, is because I feel like they use, and you guys have already kind of hit on it, but they use people of color, they use the poor, they use the hungry, and they use them as means to be, oh, look what the conservatives are doing to you, vote for us. But then they don't a lot of times fully implement what we need to do to uproot the root of the problem. And that's why I get mad at Democrat creators on TikTok who are now just kind of like, oh, I'm going to go do my thing. It's like, yes, thank you for using me and mine as like your point to get 100,000 followers. I hate you. Like for that.
Right. I hate like the appeal to like the lowest hanging fruit and then just acting like if you're on the left, you should know that just because Joe Biden's in office does not mean the work is anywhere near done.
Tell
like there's still
that. There's a lot of them.
Right, exactly. It's that the best tweet I ever saw that really sums it all up. It's like the person's like, "Hey, we need help." The Republican Party, no.
Mm-hmm.
The Democratic Party, no. Black Lives Matter, LGBTQ rights. It's,
Yes.
that's what they do.
Yeah, and like I mean, with Matimbu, they mentioned they're like, I don't think we should be trying to help the Democratic Party and try to forge our own road as leftists because you're never going to be able to erase their performative past. And I do agree with that. Like, if we do like if the Democratic Party is like legitimately asking advice from us, I'm going to go ahead and give it to them. Do I believe that they are really going to take it and implement it? That is very much yet to be seen. And that's why I think, again, circling back to paying attention to India, we need to get a lot of liberals and leftists to pay attention to what's going on in India. So that way they realize how much power the people have. If we really want to transform the Democratic Party, or maybe, forge our own path, is like, yeah, we can from afar be like, okay, the Democrats maybe have our best interests in mind sometimes. But like, we also need to centralize ourselves as people. India has a very well-established communist party that's not super involved in the politics of India, but they're involved in making sure that workers have like rights, and as well as anti-caste movements too as well. So I think.
Sorry, go ahead. I thought you were done.
So I think to an extent, we definitely do need to organize ourselves as people. But I mean, if the Democratic Party asks, what's our opinion? Here you go.
Well, I think there's two things, and it kind of leads into, I got a question up here from the live. It says, what's to stop this new leftist path from getting just as performative as the Democratic Party? I'm going to debunk that real quick because it's very easy to debunk. Because we're not born out of being performative. That's not what leftism is. Leftism, and I can actually speak from experience on this without getting too weird about it. The truth is, leftism is
weird, bro. Go ahead.
No, but I mean, and I get very passionate about this. I was talking about this with Southern Socialists. This is why I get very passionate, because leftism is born out of starvation, out of hunger, out of not having food, not having shelter, being worked till there's nothing left. Like, study the Industrial Revolution, like worked because they don't care if you die. That's what leftism is born out of. Leftism is born out of this idea that it is kind of almost all or nothing. It's not performative because it actually directly affects you. And that's why when you have people like Malcolm X talking about like the rich white liberal is really dangerous, that's why. Because like to them, it doesn't matter. There's TikTokers that I know, that I see their content. I know that they're very well off. That's why they don't care as much. Because they're fine either way. They can just like hate Trump and that's fine. But if they win, it's still like whoever's in power doesn't really affect them. It affects the working class, which brings me to my next part of this. I relate so much to that scene in Braveheart where it's like William Wallace is like him and his clan is like the leftists, right? They're like the revolutionaries. The people that follow him are the ones that actually will go tear down your castle and like drag the kings from the castles. Like they'll actually do that. But in order to actually take down England, he needed support from lords and nobles. And they weren't able to do that until they were able to unite all of them. Because up until as long as the lords and nobles were the petite bourgeoisie or whatever are still receiving funding or help from the system itself, they're not going to side with the revolutionaries completely, and that is where it breaks down. So I'm very passionate.
Right. Well, if you're the minority, it's just it's hard to get any traction, and that's it's. I think another thing I want to start talking about more is just the money in politics. Like, I don't think that gets enough attention to how much that really corrupts. So I really want to start talking about that more, because at the end of the day, people like AOC and now Jamal Bowman, Ilhan Omar, they can talk about things and actually put forth ideas because they're not bought, sold, paid for, 3 times over. Like, they're funded by the people. So therefore, it's in their best interest to do what the people want. They can actually speak freely. Most politicians spend a third of their time trying to donate or trying to fundraise. And that's like something we need to change. And I think that's going to have to be a slow process, but we are working our way there. But I've seen this bill that he's talking about, but I don't know too much about it. But
I don't know anything about that one.
What are y'all's thoughts on the Xi Jinping forced labor bill? This is the one about the Uyghurs,
Yep.
I'm assuming, but I've seen a little bit about this, and from what it seems like is that it's more performative than anything.
It is 100% American neo-imperialism. And I'm not going to get into what exactly is going on in the Uyghur Muslim camps, because apparently there's been we don't understand the full story of what's going on there, apparently. But nevertheless, the bill, even if it was absolutely atrocious,
to help them.
if there were true atrocities going on there, not saying that there isn't, but there's some debate as to how bad it really is, whether or not it's very comparable to the way that we treat our own prisoners, with forced labor and slave wages. So the bill doesn't help them at all. It's just an excuse, for imperialism, in my opinion. And also, I wish there was more information about what really was going on in there, because there's a lot of misinformation about it.
Yeah, the problem is it seems like it's just another, with the name of it and the way that I read a little bit about it, I don't know, a week ago. It seems like it's just another way for the 1% to cash in, really, and just it's not actually helping any Uyghurs in any of those camps.
Mm-hmm.
It's just fluffed up pretty language. I want to read more into it, but as far as I can tell, it's just performative garbage.
I feel bad that I don't know about that right now, because between that's why I actually rely on a lot of people like you two, a lot of other creators to really stay on top of it, because I was writing a 16-page paper up until this show, so I'm and I got to get back to it afterwards. And I'm almost
Good
done.
luck.
Oh, I'll be fine. I already have it all mapped out, but thank you. But that's what I mean is this. It's so important to have people like you guys enlighten us and share that stuff and use that stuff.
Well,
because
it's impossible to keep up with all the news, dude.
I can't.
It just is.
I can't.
Yeah.
I know about it, honestly, only because I went to the Socialist Hype House's Zoom call, and you get a diversity of perspectives on that Zoom call. And I was on one side where I was oh yeah, these really bad things are happening, and it's they might be inflating it, but again, there's no reason to jump to any conclusions about what's really happening there, especially because the forced labor bill is so performative.
Yeah, that's one of the things about China, though. When people try to tell me that, there's your communist country, I'm oh my god, if you if you think China's communist, Just because their party is like says they are doesn't mean they are. Keep in mind now
Right.
that they were socialists and then they massacred them. Like so.
Because the words in the words communism is in their party name does not make it so. Yeah.
Well,
I
actually,
love that.
I had an argument with somebody in school about that. Believe it or not, there are conservatives in my field, and one of them, we actually a little bit of history thing. We were talking about like Hitler's ideals and so forth, and that he did run under the moniker of the National Socialist Party. And this conservative was like, "See, he was a socialist," and I was like, time out, not true. He actually used the name because socialism was so popular in Germany at the time, and he knew that would draw people in. And also keep in mind, the first people he killed were communists and socialists. So don't tell me that. I was like, so I put him in check real quick because you have to. A lot names are deceiving. So I just think that's
Yeah, most definitely. Well, I mean, just the demo. What is it? The DPRK.
Yep, the
in
DPRK.
Korea. So yeah, that right there should tell you.
a king. That's all it means. Like people need to.
Right.
Like, it's not a monarchy. Go on.
Right. Did you see, by the way, speaking of monarchies, did you see that Caitlyn Bennett was calling for Trump to become our king the other day?
Yes.
Oh, that was pretty funny.
I hate
But yeah,
her.
just like and preparing for this talk, I pulled up like 6 stories from today, and that was just today. Like it's not possible to keep up with all the news that's going on. Even if you do TikTok and it doesn't matter. Like there's so much.
Well, like I mean,
stuff.
especially like as a content creator where you do have to do some like deeper dives into like whatever's going on in the news story. Like there's a reason why I haven't spoken on India yet, like on my TikTok, even though I really want to. It's because I'm reading a lot of different articles. And I'm looking for, I'm of course looking for like really good mutual aid resources so you guys can help our comrades in India. Because it just takes so much work to not only just like know what's actually going on, and of course take a holistic approach to that, but then also to be like, this is, what you do about it to like keep your audience engaged and active, and of course to like actually make an impact in the world.
Yeah,
And to actually like tell the story well.
Yeah, narrative too.
Just speaking of stuff in the news, the Sidney Powell lawsuits, I just thought this was really, really funny. So in Georgia, the state is filed a motion to have her case dismissed, and here was what they put on it. It's pretty basically everything is
it's not qualified.
is not qualified, fails to disclose its methods. This person is not qualified, fails to disclose his methods, is not qualified. His report does not utilize generally accepted methodology. Like every single person is just like, they're stupid, they're dumb. This person doesn't know what they're talking about. Like I thought that was pretty interesting.
So I have a question for you guys. If it's question time, I got a question for you. Do you think this entire thing is a grift? It is not real. Their whole like Republican thing of fighting this election and fighting the votes and all the entire process. Do you think this is nothing more than performative? Do they actually like? Because I have a hard time believing this is real. That's all I'm saying. I have a hard time believing that they can send up somebody like they did recently for Dominion and expect that to work. That's why I'm like, I think you're grifting. You're distracted.
I'm going to answer that with an article.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you saw me, I was already nodding my head. Yes, I was like, well, I mean, it's
$170 million since the election.
Wow.
Is what he's made fundraising.
It's an investment.
So this is a total grift. It's 100%. Trump knows he's not going to win. He fully understands that. But
it's just
he made $170 million,
well, he
sending 12
billion
emails a day. Like,
I think
that's
it's a grift. Like,
it's 100% a grift.
I'm actually one of my group chats that I'm in with just some friends. None of them are on TikTok or anything. It's actually a great group chat name. It's called 4 Leftists Walk Into a Bar. And it's like,
I love that so much.
And it's
that's like a great podcast name or something.
Well, I might be moving to Chicago next year, and we said that if I go over there with them, then we would start one called 4 Leftists Walk Into a Bar.
Right.
But anyway, and obviously we would hit you up if we do. But that was what we were talking about. We were just like sharing articles with each other, and we're like, this can't be real. This is a scam of some sort. And we're like, and people are falling for it. It's ridiculous.
The problem is, though, is that the people think it's real. I wanted to show you, like, Donald Trump has them so in the fog, and so many people that have influence are pushing this, that this Georgia runoff is serious. Like, if they don't win this runoff, they lose the House, the presidency, the Senate. Like, they're totally out of power. And watch this cringy moment from the from Trump's rally last night. It's just, it was so cringe.
We need you to vote January 5th. If you're our voice on January 5th, we'll be your voice for years. We have to make sure that we keep America strong. Thank you.
She's on.
Well, you know what? My colleague, David Perdue, my good friend,
It gets worse,
wants to make sure that you vote. We are going to vote, because if we don't vote, we will lose the country. If we vote, we will win.
They're saying fight for Trump.
Hey guys, I want to take liberty just 1 second. I want to say something personal to President Trump. Hey guys, I want to say something for President Trump personally.
God, it's children.
Guys, I want to say something personal for President Trump.
Personally,
We
personally,
love you, Mr.
personally.
President. We love the First Lady, and we're going to fight and win those 2 seats and make sure you get a fair, square deal in the state of Georgia. God bless you, Mr. President.
I love it so much.
Bow to me, minions, bow.
Fucking choke on it, you bastard. I'm like,
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you, folks.
so he's lost already clearly. And
God.
at a two-hour rally in the state that they're having the runoff on, he gives them 1 minute, and the entire time the crowd is berating them about fighting for Trump, and he just kind of rolls with it, like, yeah, whatever, bow to me. I just thought it was so funny.
Children.
a fascist demagogue, and nobody knows it. It's so ridiculous.
Also, why is everyone in the Republican Party like, they're like we are upholding American ideals, but like every time I see them, it's so obvious that at least like 2 of them are on drugs. Like,
right.
They took a speedball or something. Like Miss Kelly,
Well,
she did not look okay.
I hate to
She did not
say
look
this.
okay.
This kind of ties back into what we were talking about at the beginning of the show. I hate to say it, but a lot of those people in that group consider themselves evangelical Christians. And it ties back to this idea that they have to fight for themselves because we're coming to get them.
Right.
It's ingrained in their churches. It's ingrained in their homes. It's on Fox News. It's so integral to their belief system. And that's why it's very difficult.
That entire crowd truly believes that the Smartmatic, voting Dominion systems were rigged by Hugo Chavez's ghost, and they're stealing the election from Trump. Like, they don't even want to vote for their own senators because they think the election was that rigged. It's just like, but then at the same time, outside looking in, you know what I'm saying? Outside looking in, that it's all just a grift, but these people are just so lost in the sauce, they can't even snap out of it.
It's disgusting to see those 3 people, Perdue, Loeffler, and Trump, just sit there and know that they're doing a grift and know that they're taking advantage of these people and just taking their money willingly. Like, they're just absolute slimy snakes, horrible people.
So I have said that before. I've said this, and I have said, listen, Democrats have their issues. Trust me. I'm not one, right? But for all their faults, which are many, they're not the same kind of faults that Republicans have. I mean,
no.
What are we doing? Again, it's like, yeah, Democrats may drop the ball and fumble a lot, but they're not, stealing the stadium. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, Republicans are
Like-
doing like mafia shit.
Yeah, like the Democrats are do nothing Democrats. It is true that that's what they are, but they're not like if anyone's the weird lizard cult people, it's the Republicans.
Right. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
To say.
Yeah.
What I mean. Yeah.
It's a whole nother level. Like, I look at this shit all the time, and it's not even close. Like, the Democrats are terrible, and in a better world, the centrist Democrats would be the Republican Party, and the progressives would be the Democratic Party, because the Republican Party,
most worlds.
especially with
The best
Trump.
world is when we decolonize America, but I mean,
Well, yeah, but we got a ways to go. But the problem that the Republican Party has now faced himself with is they flirted with all these conspiracies and all this crazy stuff, and now their whole party is bought onto it. And when they try to push back on it, they have now everybody's too pilled and they don't believe it. You know what I mean? So they dug their own grave. But I don't know. I just thought that was hilarious to watch because it's
it was
just
funny.
so cringy.
That shit's funny because I'll say this though too. Those of us on the left, man, I mean, I don't see us simping the same way that they do for this Trump idiot. Like, it's like, yes, people do for Obama a little bit. I don't know. I felt like there was a Obama craze, but it's like, the overall Biden feel has been like, all right, well, that group chat I was mentioning to you, as soon as he got elected, one of my buddies in there goes, now we're going to drag this motherfucker.
I was like, oh, I remember when he was elected, I was like, oh, okay. Because you've noticed my content has gotten a little bit more snappier ever since Biden got elected. I was like, finally, I can take this belt off and I can let loose.
Well, you're dealing with like 15-year-old kids that are like calling you racist. It's really weird.
I'm getting it from everyone. I get people calling me a race realist, and then actually, and then like and then actual race realists will come into my comments and be like, "Well, you are just jealous of the inferior white mind." And I'm like, "This is so great for me."
I actually feel, I feel for you, Tori, because when it comes to content, like Driven, okay, so his aggressors are going to be Q people, and he can just destroy them with facts, right? It's just like, all right.
Well, those don't matter. It's fun anyway.
Yeah, it's like I'm publicly just going to make you look like an idiot because, like, and then the kind of people I get are just like some leftist hate, not leftist hate, some Democrat hate, and like majority conservative. That's who, like, if anybody does come after me, but I don't really experience a lot of it. And when they do, they're always old. They're always like upper, not old, but like 40s. Like, that's who comes after me. And for Tori, I feel bad because Tori will say something perfectly based. And like
perfectly based.
These teens will just roll in like the cavalry, like Tori said on TikTok.
Actually,
it's everyone. I also get like 30-year-old men. I get like really old men. I get everyone. I actually had to, while I was on stream, I had to block someone from Instagram because they were sending me explicit images. I just don't know what.
Like just now?
Yeah, like just now. Like it's like the thing that you're describing is happening to me as you're describing it. Well, I mean, it's bad. I mean, like let's look at all of the different layers. Like let's look at all the different targets. I'm a socialist. I'm a commie. I'm a brown feminine presenting person. I'm not technically a woman because I identify as non-binary. I use she, they pronouns. I'm a vegan. That one really gets people.
You really do hit.
You click all the boxes for like internet hate.
Exactly. And I'm like in my early 20s. I have a higher pitched voice. I am not super professional. Like it's just everyone's like, it's go time. Let's do it.
It's just not. I'm like, come on, like Tori's great. Like people need to, like that's
anytime I need like a good laugh, I go to one of Tori's videos and look at the comment section because it's either like people simping real hard, or it's like people wishing she would not exist and like get lazy.
I love seeing the simp comments. Like they're great. Tori gets her simp. It's great. I love it. So
Yeah, it's
but
funny.
yeah, I mean, I feel like it's good, and that's one of the things too. Like TikTok, man, it's such an effective way right now. That's why Driven, don't leave. Like if you plan,
I'm not leaving.
yeah, don't leave. It's because to the younger generation, that is how we reach them. Because not every kid sits down to like a YouTube video, you know. And of course, you know, it'd be great to have YouTube videos and stuff like that. But I mean, like that 13 to 16-year-old kid may not. He just wants to scroll through, or he or she wants to scroll through TikTok, you know. And that's how we can like nab them. I don't know.
Right.
So,
I'm just I'm switching up my content a little bit. You know what I mean? Because I just, yeah.
well,
I
that's
feel like I
that's a
need to
good-
tweak it in order
that's a
to
good
grow.
like diversify. I think you can definitely draw an audience to your YouTube like through TikTok. Because I mean, like a lot of people are like, oh, like a lot of people are realizing that you can't really like delve into the nuances that a lot of topics that we're talking about on TikTok
Right.
in 60 seconds. So like if you have that YouTube channel there as an outlet to like really deep dive into it, I'm pretty sure there's gonna be people that want to listen.
oh yeah, there
What
always is. I'm just saying, like let's like a lot of the establishment Democrats are going to be leaving like political TikTok or whatever, but like that's what's cool about progressives and leftists, right? You know why? You know what's cool? Because we can do
They're
this
still here.
but no, we can literally do this forever because we're not
Mhm.
just trying to win elections. We're
Mhm.
trying to
Right.
actually change stuff. And
Right.
in our lifetime,
Substantive change.
we're not
Well,
gonna get what we want, but yeah.
Well, shit's not getting any better too in a lot of ways. But my goal, I think what I want to do is I want to do about like 3 live streams a week, just like going over content and stuff. I want to do something like this at least once a week, and then do like one like more deep dive video, like just per week, like one video about, you know, the fucking dangers of watching Tim Pool or why he's a fucking jackass. Yeah, and just do more live stream and stuff. And you know, I like doing stuff like this. Like I really like talking with you guys and different, you know, people that, you know, have political opinions. And
Driven to encourage you a lot, man. Just keep in mind, like I could see you as like the next progressive Bosch. Like Bosch was a nobody last year. Bosch is huge now.
Please replace Vosh. I'm begging you.
Well, actually, I have mixed emotions about Vosh. Vosh, the only things I do like about him is he does put a lot of ideas out there that like people don't.
yeah, I'm not the debate bro type, but yeah, no, he does do a lot of good stuff.
What I mean about Vosh is, and I was talking to Suited Wealth about this. I'm not like, oh, he's great. I look at him like this. I'm like, you know what you've done? You have mainstreamed a lot of ideas to over 300,000 people, and for that, I appreciate it. Like that.
Bosch is definitely a bridge because a lot of people I have interacted with, they're like, oh yeah, I used to like love Vosh. Vosh radicalized me. But then like I started actually educating myself, and I realized that, you know, it's time for me to grow out of him. And like no personal hate on Bosch. There's just
No, I
like
think we get along with
and this is like my theory nerd coming out. And I'm very understanding of when people get things wrong. It's just that he's gotten some things wrong that are just they're too wrong. They're too wrong, and it's hurtful. But he's a bridge.
Right.
There's a lot of utility in Vosh. Vosh has a lot of utility in.
Again, it goes back to my theory that if I ever wrote a leftist theory book, it would be that we're all different cogs in a machine that do different things, I think.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's important because like, I don't intend to be like Vosh, but someone like Vosh, I know for a fact has reached friends of mine in like, when they're watching his streams or whatever, they're like, that's a good point, you know, and like you need that. Like he's very palatable. He's very like easy to show somebody and have them go, huh, yeah, like that's what I mean. So
that was, like I said, my whole reason for starting making content is we need more voices, and Vosh, the way he presents stuff, is going to be able to reach a certain section, and you know the way Tori does something or the way I do something might, you know.
He liked one of my
Might
TikToks. Once,
reach somebody to, you know, well, that's cool. Shit. I emailed back and forth with him about coming on here for a discussion. He said he was too busy, but he did get back to me pretty quick, and we exchanged a couple of emails. But
Hassan-
we just because you never know who's gonna, put that idea out and snap somebody to maybe look at something different, or
I mean, like, I got a good portion of my audience because Hassan Piker watched, like, I think, like, 2 of my TikToks on his stream, which is, like, a lot for me personally. It's a lot for me. It's a lot for me to know that Hassan Piker has perceived me more than once. But also, like, it's nice because that has allowed me to talk to an audience of, like, people I don't think would have originally checked out my content in the first place. Yeah.
All right. Well, on that though, I think we've had a great conversation, and I appreciate everybody for coming in, hanging out with us. Tomorrow night, I'm going to be going over that on stream. I'm going to be going over that whole beauty guru story, as well as looking at the Austin Steinbart TikToks. Austin Steinbart, if you don't know who that is, he's Baby Q. He claims to be Q, but from the future, and he has a TikTok now. And I really want to go over all the craziness in it because it should be an interesting, hot pile of garbage. And yes, people believe this guy is a time traveler. So yeah, we'll go over that. I really, like I said, if you guys could like the stream on the way out, I'd really appreciate it. I'll have that stuff about Brandon Bernard in the description after I upload the video. So yeah, thanks a lot, guys, and peace out.